Well said.
Yeah. Welcome to Big Damn Cast.
This is the Big Damn Cast. That was my theme tune that I've been with.
I'm a fan. I thought for a split second it was quite ominous. I thought you were going for a Captain Scarlet thing, like this is the voice of the Big Damn Cast.
That'll work. Also,
we've just lost about 90% of our listeners who have no idea what Captain Scarlet
what is Captain Scarlet?
It's the past. It's the Uella Mistrons.
Mistrons.
Maybe that was what they were missing. Maybe someone should have just straight up asked, like, where are they? Oh, they're over there. They're in that camper van. They've been following you.
Wasn't one of the Angel Squadron French?
Yes. I think they all were.
Were they all French?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been so long.
They were sexy French marionettes. Because nothing's sexier than having a head 3 sizes bigger than a human head would be in proportion to the rest of your body.
We should talk about Captain Scarlet at some point. We should rewatch some old original Captain Scarlet.
You know, we should talk Thunderbirds. We should talk Captain Scarlet. And you know what? I've never seen it. I've always wanted to. We should do some Fireball XL5.
I've never seen Fireball XL5.
I know the theme tune,
but that wasn't Jerry Anderson, was it?
No.
It was the
same studio and everything.
But it wasn't Jerry Anderson.
And that one's weird. Every episode ends with an ode to the female character.
Yeah.
It's like Marina, which was a song in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
One of the episodes does a musical number out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then they just move on. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, Stingray's weird, bro. It's
Stingray.
Seriously weird.
He's weird, bro.
I used to have a little Stingray as well, and a little the fish ship.
I had the Stingray toy because you could open the hatch and you could fit the figures in.
I had the little ones. I didn't have the big ones. I had the little. Stingray.
Oh right, because I had a big one, but I never had any of the Stingray characters. I only had the Thunderbirds characters.
I had a little.
So I'd sit a Tracy in Stingray, and I played with it in the bath. And I'll give it credit for this. Never once did the paint come off.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a submarine.
That's it for this week, everybody. See you later. So, on with the news before we baffle anyone. Whoever's still here, the only people who are still here are people who've ever watched Stingray and acknowledge it in some way, be it positive or negative, or people who fell asleep in the first minute.
People are frantically Googling Stingray on their small handheld devices. The smartwatches. But you've all got smartwatches, haven't you?
Crazy kids.
You
may have smartwatches, but I bet you don't have portraits that link up into video calls in your secret base on a tropical island.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Anything can happen if you let it.
So, not a huge amount going on this week that I've noticed. Or maybe I've just been living under a rock. Lots of news, but none of it particularly...
fit for our...
Yeah, not the kind of stuff we report on.
We are not going political, put it that way.
Not that we report, we just sort of talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're journalists. I don't have like the hat on with the little ticket in the band. That's not a thing.
It doesn't make you a journalist.
I'm Knox from Batman 89. Hello, legs!
Does that mean I'm Vicky Vale?
Yeah, I want to bust that body.
Oh, yeah. Christ. For those playing along at home, take a shot for the first Prince reference of the episode. What do we got, Matthew?
John Carpenter's real salty about The Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
John Carpenter was on the WTF podcast, which I don't listen to, so I have not heard the interview.
Matt, WTF?
WTF, mate. But...
Forget about it.
It's been reported on that he's kind of took a shot at The Walking Dead for milking George Romero's work. It's basically just, milking the Night of the Living Dead thing. But that was part of a larger point he was making about the way that culture...
No one's being creative with that format and genre.
Yeah, they're just milking the same ideas over and over and over again. So that was a thing, John Carpenter being all salty. But John Carpenter's a weird dude, so we'll let him do that.
That was a thing. You just said that in the same sentence as John Carpenter, and you didn't leave on the opportunity. For that, I'm taking your journalist hat off you.
No!
You are now no longer a journalist.
I'm no longer Knox. Knox no more. It's the DC crossover of 2016. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a thing.
Yes, it is. It's a glorious thing. It's wrapped now, isn't it?
They're bringing footage to SDCC.
What the shit?
That's going to happen. So we're going to see a little bit of that film.
On somebody's phone camera on YouTube for 2 days.
We'll see some leaked footage out of Hall H. Also on the subject of SDCC, there's a 13-foot bronze statue of Captain America.
Whoa.
That's being unveiled and displayed in San Diego from the 20th to the 24th of July before it makes way to its permanent home in Brooklyn.
Oh, snap!
Yeah.
So they're doing a RoboCop.
They're doing a RoboCop.
They're doing a Superman.
They're doing a RoboCap.
Because they've done that, haven't it? In oh god, where's Smallville meant to be?
Kansas.
In Kansas, there's a statue of Superman, or is it in DC? DC.
I have no idea.
Well, yeah, there's a statue of Superman somewhere.
Has someone written false god on it?
No, but Barack Obama
is there a man with no legs climbing up it?
Barack Obama is posed in front of it, doing the same pose as the statue, thus certifying his position forever going forward as quite possibly the most cool president that the US will ever have. Sure, there are drones killing people overseas, and that's a bad thing, but one man can't make all the change in the world, and no other president is ever going to be this hip. So there is that. I mean, he watches Game of Thrones. He's on it.
Who doesn't?
He knows the important stuff in the world.
We need to talk about this last season of Game of Thrones, actually. We should do that soon.
We should. We're getting political.
We need to watch it.
We're getting political. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And in Detroit, they've got a statue of RoboCop.
Excellent.
Which I don't understand. It's like they're saying, yes, we are the shithole from the movies.
Yes. Yeah, Detroit is... I've had someone from Detroit come and stay at my house. Detroit's an interesting place.
Then again, I still think the best statue associated with the location is Frank Sidebottom. There's a Frank Sidebottom in Timperley.
I love it. I love it. Oh,
and the body's bronze, but the head's coloured in like the head. That's amazing.
That is really cool. You know, someone tried to nick the Eric Morecambe statue that's in Morecambe.
How do you nick a statue?
I think they tried to saw its leg off.
Why would you do that? Oh, because he's only on one leg, so that would be the anchor point. Why don't you just saw the base?
I don't know.
Like, why would you
saw his leg? I might be remembering that story, but I remember there being a story a couple of years back about someone trying to nick the Eric Morecambe statue.
Why would you want an amputated Eric Morecambe
statue?
Well,
I'd want an Eric Morecambe in my living room.
Yeah, but not a one-legged Eric Morecambe. I mean, he can't do the skip.
I don't know.
And it feel kind of
I'm not ableist.
Yeah, but it feel like some kind of weird time-traveling edition of Misery. Do you know what I mean?
Just keep him there.
Just keep him
You're
there.
gonna write a new Morecambe and Wise Christmas special.
It's like you will write a new one of your funny plays. That was Ernie. That wasn't me.
Where can I find Ernie? I need both of you. And next time he wakes up, there's both of them in the bed next to each other,
sharing a bed.
Morecambe and Wise in Misery.
You just see, you could Photoshop that. You could just take a still from any of the sketches with them sat up next to each other in bed, and just give them both a broken ankle.
Oh. On the subject of Misery,
yeah.
Do you like the DC TV shows?
The only one I've watched is Flash, and I really enjoy Flash. I dig it.
Well, I watched.
I diggle it.
I watched the
That's
first...
a joke for DC people, right?
No. I watched the first season and a bit of Arrow. My girlfriend has ploughed into season 4 of Arrow and gave up towards the end of it.
Good lord.
I've really enjoyed both seasons of The Flash. I've enjoyed what I've seen of Supergirl.
And
Legends of Tomorrow is bad. It's real bad, but it's got Brandon Routh and Arthur Darvill and Victor Gerber and other cool people in it. Oh, and it's got Wentworth Miller being Captain Cold, which is always worth a watch.
I imagine he would get a little grating though if he was in every week.
No, he's fabulous. I would just watch a whole show. I just watch Captain Cold. I just watch it.
It's just him just like going to get a coffee.
Yeah, I just watch Wentworth.
I'll have a frappuccino.
I'll have a frappuccino because
but
it's iced.
Hold the milk.
Cold puns.
I hope you're not planning on putting too much ice in there. I wouldn't advise you messing up my order.
Oh, I want it so much. You're not putting me off. You're just making me want it more.
What's his name again? What's the character's
Leonard
name?
Snart.
Leonard Snart. That's not how you spell Leonard. Excuse me? On the side of my coffee cup, you misspelled my name. I don't like it when people misspell my name. Snot! It's like that's the name of the show.
Dominic Purcell. Well, there is precedent for a heroic Leonard Snart in Flashpoint, of all things. Because he's Citizen Cold in the Flashpoint universe.
But even a hero would kick a barista's ass for misspelling Leonard.
As someone who has experience of being a barista,
have you ever had your ass kicked by a supervillain?
Well, no, but I'm not a future hot girl, so I don't know about being baristas.
But I'm a barista.
I was a barista. But anyway, that's not the point I'm making. The reason I mentioned the DC TV shows is because in the US at least, the Netflix and the CW,
yes, all of those
have struck a deal to bring their shows including the DC TV shows, but not limited to. Also includes shows like Riverdale, which I'm interested in, because how do you make a TV show out of Archie? That's how you make it Twin Peaks, apparently. Riverdale, Frequency, No Tomorrow, The Vampire Diaries.
The Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
The 100, Rain, and some other bits and pieces, as well as the DC TV shows, including iZombie, and now Supergirl, because that's a CW show now. They're going to be bringing their full seasons to Netflix 8 days after the seasons conclude.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And that
the CW did that with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, that's one of the shows that's
which is now on the UK Netflix, which I'm probably going to binge this week because I absolutely adore Rachel Bloom.
So whether this will affect
in a fiery biblical way,
you're terrible. Whether this comes over to the UK or not is, it's not clear, but it'll be interesting to see if it does, because
if Crazy Ex-Girlfriend's like a hint at how they can handle it in the future, maybe.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. That's a big thing that done, and it's not the first time. Like, Netflix have got an exclusive deal in place with Disney that Netflix is the exclusive home of all Disney streaming stuff for like the next XD years, from everything that comes out, I think, from last year onwards. So like episode 7, when that comes out to streaming, that'll be on Netflix exclusively, and all the new Pixar stuff, Finding Nemo, etc, etc, etc. So I mean, it's kind of part of the arms race of streaming.
But it's also healthy competition too for those companies.
Yeah,
if you've got the Marvel shows on Netflix and the DC shows on Netflix, then people are going to be like, you finish a season of Flash, it's going to be like, why not try Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? And I'll be like, okay, fair enough.
And it's interesting that
as long as it doesn't recommend Daredevil or Jessica Jones to anybody watching Flash or Supergirl, because good lord,
no, it's not going to go
traumatize some kids.
But it's interesting that Marvel and DC are both now got exclusivity with the same provider. Although over here, it's a bit less cut and dry, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on Amazon Prime, Arrow is on Amazon Prime. Flash isn't on streaming
Isn't
yet.
on any of them yet. Yeah.
So it's a bit more divided, and I think the licenses are different across, which is why we don't have some amazing stuff that we have on Netflix in the States.
In the
over
Strats.
Here. Speaking of amazing stuff on Netflix, and also going back to John Carpenter, Big Trouble in Little China turned 30.
Did it?
That movie's 30 years old.
Oh my god!
It's also perfect.
It is a great movie.
It's perfect.
It's a great movie,
and it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China, go and watch it. It's on Netflix.
The last time I watched it, I looked at it in a slightly different way. I looked at it as Kurt Russell as just a wacky sidekick. I'm trying to remember.
That's not a different way. That's how the movie is.
Oh well, no,
that's how the movie's written.
Well, no, but the way it pitches it at you in terms of just like the way you look at the DVD cover. When I first watched that movie, I was like, "Oh, it's a movie about this American guy getting involved in all these crazy Chinese secrets."
And
and then you watch it, and it's a ridiculously cool movie.
The cover being like that
with him just in it.
Yeah.
But when brilliant. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, like the dude who's the real hero of the whole piece.
I can remember the actor's name. I also can't remember the character's name.
But letting the side down. But he's, you know what I mean? Like he's the hero.
I know.
If you put him on the front cover of the DVD, you would look at the film different going into it. I think if you came to it new. What we're basically saying is it's a damn good film. It's got some amazing special effects in terms of like the practical stuff and everything. It looks so good.
It's aged really well.
Some proper creepy villains.
Brilliant script, wonderful gags, creepiness all over. Lopan is an incredible villain, and if you like the new Nickelodeon Turtle show, that actor turns up playing not Lopan, but
a ghost that's kind of like him in season 2,
a serious homage to Lopan, and turns a couple of skate punks into the Three Storms.
Oh god, because they have that. Yes,
it's pretty great.
That was pretty.
And it's another reason to watch the Nickelodeon Turtle show, which is pretty fantastic.
Netflix needs to hurry its ass up with season 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's got season 1 and 2 on there. So yeah, Netflix is worth watching for a lot of that stuff.
Nickelodeon.
One last thing before we get into the topics of this episode is me and my girlfriend watched Cyborg last night. Which is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I thought you were going to say you came back from the future.
Yeah, we
watched DC's Cyborg.
Oh, no.
So they do make it.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen.
Is it about the upper torso of a teenager screaming in agony? Come on, kids, buy the Happy Meal.
No, it's about Jean-Claude Van Damme and terrible practical effects and Canon Films going bankrupt.
Oh, it's canon!
Because...
It's Canon Films!
Because...
Just give everyone a quick... Because I will put a bullet point in bankrupt. Give everyone a quick sort of summation of Canon Films. Because these guys are responsible for bringing us some of the most wonderfully terrible things.
Canon are like... They were a studio who... they're not quite... They're not a big studio. They're kind of a mid-level studio, but they kind of have a reputation for putting out real trashy cult movies. But then they got their hands on some really big licenses.
Yeah, like they miraculously were able to get a hold of, for example, Superman.
They had Spider-Man in development for years.
Yeah, Spider-Man was theirs.
Cyborg tanking was one of the reasons. Well, Cyborg tanked because of other reasons, but Cyborg was one of the reasons that Canon tanked and went under, and when they lost it. No, sorry, them losing the Spider-Man license kind of before
that was like their final nail.
Cyborg came out. That was because they also lost the Masters of the Universe license because Cyborg was originally written and started pre-production as He-Man 2.
So wait, hang on. Let's just...
So,
for those who aren't aware, He-Man the Masters of the Universe, cartoon show from the 80s, film version comes out in the late 80s, starring Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langella as Skeletor.
Yeah, say that again.
Frank Langella as Skeletor.
Yes.
Frank Langella as how much? Okay, I'll film.
I'll do it.
And the film was called Masters of the Universe because true story, they thought calling it He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was too gay, unquote. The same reason that the TV company behind the Incredible Hulk TV show changed Bruce Banner's name to David Banner because they thought Bruce was a name that was too gay. Because in the 80s, everybody, people were dicks.
People didn't like the gays in the 80s.
It's gay. Oh, we better not do it then. Just shut up. And
but Bruce is such a gay name, apparently.
What? For Christ's sake.
But anyways.
But that's why like they always still make references to his middle name being David in the comic sense as sort of like a nod to and a middle finger up to the TV series.
I think he'd been Robert in some versions as well.
His name was always... no, it was always Bruce Banner from the beginning, but I think that his middle name was Robert and then they changed it to David. Something like that.
Maybe.
As sort of like a homage.
I'll have to read some more Hulk. What a shame.
Go back and read the 60s stuff. It's amazing.
It's pretty great.
It's like Stan Lee. Like Stan Lee was, he only wanted to have a cameo in the Marvel movies that he had a hand in co-creating the characters. He felt like it was a bit unfair if he cameoed in ones that he didn't make. And so when it came to Guardians, that was the first one that Captain America he didn't make, but he brought him back, for example, in Avengers. And then with with Guardians of the Galaxy, he was like, "Oh, I don't know, like you should give it to someone else." They were like, "You created Groot." He's like, "What?" It's like, "You created Groot. Groot is an alien sentient plant in a Hulk issue from early Hulk."
I don't think it's Hulk. I think it's an early anthology story.
Might be,
like Where Monsters Dwell or something.
But Stan wrote it, and it was Hulk. Fighting this tree monster that was called Groot.
Brilliant.
And then whoever brought Groot back in Guardians later on was like, "Oh, we'll tell you what, I'll make it one of those things. It's like the whole planet's a forest, and this is just another tree from it." Which then got explored in a Groot mini story a couple of years ago, in I think one of the annuals, and it was really cute. And they all said, "I'm Groot." All the dialogue in the issue is "I'm Groot." But anyway,
that was a massive tangent. But anyway,
so He-Man, Masters of the Universe movie comes out, and it's the typical thing of we don't know how to adapt this. So it's going to be a story of them coming to Earth.
Yeah, and Canon basically...
it shares the same plot as the Smurfs movie.
They bet the farm on Masters of the Universe. Like, they put a lot of money into it and they were expecting to get a lot of money back, and it did not work out for them. But they'd already greenlit and started pre-production on the sequel.
In fact, they were so confident there's an after-credits moment in the original of Skeletor arising from like the lava or whatever and freezing mid-shot because they obviously didn't get the shot they wanted. So they just freeze with his face above the surface like a Goosebumps cover. It's really weird.
But Dolph Lundgren declined to return because he was going to go do Red Scorpion.
Yeah. Which probably paid better.
Which, worked out well for him.
And wasn't a Masters of the Universe sequel.
But, because the plot of it was that He-Man comes back to Earth. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
So again, avoiding the Masters of the Universe premise completely the first
no
movie.
No Eternia for you. And Dolph Lundgren returned to
You can wait your Eternia.
Terrible.
But
they just recast him. They recast the surfer dude out of him. And then it went through more production troubles and they ended up becoming the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie that it is now, and changed the plot and wrote all the He-Man stuff out. It's a weird movie. It's not very good. It's worth a watch, but it's terrible.
Is Jean-Claude Van Damme a cyborg?
No.
So who's the cyborg?
He's...
Is there a cyborg?
There is a cyborg.
Oh, God.
There are several cyborgs.
Ladies and gentlemen, Big Damcast Theatre presents the abridged reading of Jean-Claude Van Damme's Cyborg.
So...
Have I given it too much courtesy?
It's not good. So it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland,
right?
And there's been wars, and there's a plague, which is never really defined. But there's a plague, and it's bad. And there's a last group of doctors, and they've sent out a cyborg to get some information. And this cyborg is coming back to Atlanta, which is where the last doctors are. And then she gets attacked by a group of pirates led by the improbably named Fender Tremolo, who is also a cyborg, but he's kind of like T-Ray from the Deadpool comics meets the Lord Humongous from the Road Warrior, with this ridiculous voice and shiny bright blue eyes. And a chainmail shirt, and also he's called Fender Tremolo. Did I mention that he's called Fender Tremolo?
One more time.
Fender Tremolo.
As Skeletor. Frank Langella as Fender Tremolo.
It's not Frank Langella.
Oh, see, that's where the movie was let down.
It's some big muscle dude.
Are you saying Frank Langella couldn't get muscly?
Well,
Probably
this guy's
not.
swole. Anyway, so there's a cyborg, and then her bodyguard is killed by this gang. And she runs into, I can't remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme character's name.
Should we call him JCVD?
It's something Rickenbacker. I know Rickenbacker's his second name.
Should we call him Rickenbacker Glory?
Rickenbacker Glory.
Rickenbacker Glory.
So Rickenbacker Glory rescues this cyborg, and then she has a whole exposition scene and it's like the woman takes off a wig, and she's got like a brain in a case and like a metal neck, but it's a really poor puppet. And then there's this really awful shot of like she sees the pirates catch up with her, and then she looks around and she's not put the wig back on, so it's like a puppet head, and it's really uncanny valley, and it's just
so it's not like Terminator style. We know that's a fake head, but the shot is so good we don't care.
It's such a. I'll have to show you.
Sooty's in the bottom of the frame.
I will have to show you.
Kermit the Frog.
I can't describe how awful some of the practical cyborg effects are in this movie. There's not many of them, because we're told that Fender Tremolo is a cyborg, but we never really see his cyborg augmentations.
Fender Tremolo.
And this cyborg lady just isn't in the movie much.
It's because Jim Henson was only available for
the
half the
plot's a
day.
mess.
That's why.
The plot's a mess. But yeah, there's some awful practical effects, and then Fender Tremolo takes a cyborg, and he wants to take her to Atlanta and keep the cure for himself. He's like, I like the pain, I like the suffering, I like this world. Go to hell! I've been there. It's terrible. But so then, and also Fender Tremolo in the past killed Rickenbacker Glory's family. So, but then he's described as an urban ninja.
Okay, here's my biggest question so far.
No, I can't answer it because I don't know.
Oh no, no. You can. When was this released?
1987.
Okay, so this is post Terminator.
This is it's post Terminator.
Pre Terminator 2, post Terminator 2,
post Terminator.
Does it feel like it wants to be Terminator?
No, it feels like it was made in the late 70s.
Oh, good lord! So it feels like a proper offcast.
It's not good. And anyway, yeah, there's always at the end.
He-Man meets Escape from New York.
Yeah, a little bit. And then Rickenbacker Glory hooks up with this woman, and then she takes. They go to try and get the cyborg back, and they're chasing the pirates, but the pirates run at ship, but then they're not. They're on land again. And then he ends up getting crucified at one point, and then there's a big final battle in the rain, and then he gets the cyborg to Atlanta, and it's the end of the film. Woo! And then the end of the film literally ends with, they get the cyborg back to Atlanta, she's like, stay with us, this could be a home for you. And he's like, nah, we gotta go, people aren't there, need us. And he jets with his new brunette friend, who he met earlier. And then I think the last time in the movie is like, something like, we had the cure for this, we had the cure for the plague, but I think he's the cure the world needs. Or something ridiculous like that. And then it just finishes. Oh, and the whole soundtrack sounds like it was recorded on someone's Casio. It's the worst synth soundtrack I've ever heard. But anyway, There's a great article on Den of Geek about how Masters of the Universe 2 became Cyborg, and I watched it coincidentally last night, and that was what made me want to mention Cyborg.
I just can't believe that someone can retool that specifically. That's so odd.
Yeah,
that's so. I mean, that's like how the Die Hard sequels get made. Well, at least with 4 and 5, like other things were pitched, and then the studio went, "We'll buy your script, but
that's how Die Hard got
you've
made.
got to put John. Well, it's sort of like a tradition then.
Die Hard was
it's like you've got to put John McClane in it.
Die Hard was a combination of an adaptation of a novel and a Commando sequel.
I did not know that.
And we'll
my God.
We'll have to do a bit of research and we'll talk about this another time, I think. But Die Hard was originally started as a mongrel of other films, so if its sequels to also be that is pretty fitting. But yeah, it happens quite a lot. There's pleasures to be had in diving deep on development hell and films that got cancelled and films that got retooled into other things from other things. Big Trouble in Little China that we talked about earlier was retooled from the Buckaroo Banzai sequel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
John Carpenter picked up the script and did some stuff on that to make it into Big Trouble in Little China. So
that kind of makes sense in terms
of
tone.
It kind of does.
Like,
but yeah,
really
so
odd.
that might be something we look at on another.
If you guys know about any as well, let us know. bigdamcontact@gmail.com.
Yeah,
if you know about any of the films that
we should look at in terms of that
were
stuff,
bastardized and tweeted. Speaking of films
that have been bastardized
and tweets, so we're all. I mean, we're sort of amongst that group of people who are kind of a little bit pissy about the Ghostbusters reboot. Let's get it out on Front Street for those who don't know.
I wouldn't say I'm pissy. I'd say I'm skeptical at best.
Okay, I think ultimately we want it to be a good movie. We want to have fun.
Yeah,
we want to enjoy it. We want to feel like it belongs in the family.
I really want it to be good.
Of those movies and everything.
I really want it to be good.
But all the signals we're getting so far, and all the way it's being marketed, and the clips that have been shown, and everything, blah 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 blah.
It's not encouraging.
It's not encouraging at all. In fact, it's very disheartening more than anything. And one thing that we've covered before, that we mentioned this briefly last week, and I've talked about it in a video on my YouTube channel and stuff, is that the way they have represented this film within interviews and stuff, specifically the director Paul
Feig,
that was it.
Feig roll,
yeah, like Fagin.
Paul Fagin,
Feig roll.
Paul
Fair.
Paul, baby, you're so Feig. I bet you think this song is about you.
Don't you? So Feig.
Don't you?
That guy, the director of the movie, has been very openly sort of mocking and piss-takey in his interviews about the people who are upset about this movie.
Dismissive, I would say.
But very, like, it's almost like the film's wearing it as a badge of pride, which we've said is the worst way to market your movie.
It's not going to win you any fans.
Because the only people you're appealing to there are those who are like, oh, shut up, it might be good. Like, those people are the only ones who are going to join in with that. The people who are like, oh, shut up, it might be good.
But movies live or die on those kind of audiences.
Exactly, especially now in the interwebs age, where we can all voice our opinion and share our opinion, and record podcasts as privileged white males
for
who definitely know what they're talking about.
For a society that doesn't talk anymore because of the rise of the internet, apparently, according to the old people, word of mouth is stronger than it's ever been.
Strongest word of mouth yet, by Jove.
Yeah,
which is why it's such a kick in the balls that he's like that. Like, he refers to the whole, like, all these crying man babies in their basements who I think we've ruined their childhood. No offence, Paul, what about all the crying lady babies in their basements? Like, you sort of, again, you're kind of marginalising it. Point is, my opinion of him over the last few weeks, last couple of months in particular, but last few weeks, has turned into, this guy's a bit of a knobhead.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it's bad that it does that, because it's affecting my enthusiasm for the movie hugely now. I'm really reluctant to see this film now, because I'm like, he doesn't care if I like it or not. That's not good. He should want to please everyone. Like, you should want to tell a story that'll make people happy. That should be their aim.
And that kind of attitude of, this is what I'm making, I don't care if anyone likes it, and I don't want to, and I'm ignoring all criticisms of it, that can put you off a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because that's what put us off Zack Snyder. because that's what he did.
Justice League. I'm already been put off. I've been put off Justice League for about a year, simply because of the way Jason Momoa's conducted himself in interviews about it over the last year. Mm-hmm. It's a film that hadn't even started filming when I first decided I don't think I'm going to enjoy that movie. It's mental. Yeah. It's so weird. But today, this morning, in fact, Den of Geek released an article, which we'll link below in the description.
Lovely Den of Geek. We like Den of Geek.
Den of Geek. We're fans of their work, Peter. Yeah. Den of Geek did an interview with Paul Feig. Feig. I want to live forever.
No, you got to reboot it. You can't.
I got to reboot the film.
Paul Feig.
An interview with him. The journalist having seen Ghostbusters ahead of the interview, and not the original, the remake, and then went into the interview with him. And what they do is they sort of say, like, look, I'm gonna ask you some questions about the controversy and everything, and the hold-ups people have about this movie, but and about the Sony email leaks and stuff like that. And I want to give you the chance to put everything out on Front Street and just be very black and white about it. And he goes, I appreciate that, thanks. And you finish this interview. I don't know about you, but I finished when I read this interview. I sort of came out the back of it going like, I have a bit more respect for him now.
Yeah,
but there are some things where I still don't get it. For example, she says like, I'd only watch the journalist says I'd only watch the trailer. I can't remember if it was a he or she. Actually, I shouldn't put that in your head. The journalist. Let's call them the journalist. Mm-hmm. The journalist said I hadn't watched the original trailer until after I saw the screening of the movie, like the day before the interview. Then I watched the original trailer because I was curious as to why it had so much backlash. Would you agree that's not a good trailer? And he goes, no, it's not the best trailer. It's not the best representation of the movie we've made.
And that's a common theme with Paul Feig trailers in general. His movies don't make good trailers.
No. But at the same time, it's odd that the studio went ahead with that, and you get the sense that perhaps there was no director's approval. Melissa McCarthy wrote to them after that trailer went out to basically go, look, that's a bit misleading. Can we do a new trailer that's a bit more like this? And they basically ignored her, and she openly talked about it in an interview. Said like, yeah, they don't care about what the actors have to say. They don't. The studio, they don't care. Like, we're just there to sell the tickets.
But we knew this about Sony anyway.
Yeah, Sony are
thanks to the
hack frauds.
Hacked frauds.
Hacked frauds.
Hacked
frauds.
In fact, Den of Geek made a point of not reporting any of the Sony hack stuff, but I still track that stuff down because
you're curious. You can't help it.
I like to read the internet equivalents of the National Enquirer. Also, it was kind of fascinating. It was morally dodgy, diving into people's private stuff like that, but it was fascinating.
We say private. These were all business emails.
Well,
they were all
they're still considered private.
Well, of course, but they were also like it's the kind of thing that whenever you get an email addressed to the place you work in, they will always issue you with a ton of statements, like small print and everything, where they basically say at any time we could pull your email and look at it. Like, if you email here, you have to know that you are representing the company.
They could pull their email and look at it. We couldn't pull their
Oh,
email
no, of course. But at the same time, like, you would expect the emails, of course, to be all... Obviously, you could have banter and this, that, and the other, but to be of professional nature.
Yeah.
A lot of what came out, in relation to Ghostbusters specifically, was a lot of kind of backstabbing and...
Yeah.
And reputation, like destruction and like pissing all over Ivan Reitman's choices and talking about how like no Dan's script isn't good enough, referring to Aykroyd's script and all this stuff, and it's just really and like meetings of all the people that is it Amy Pascal? I keep forgetting her name. Head of Sony. Like she sort of like organised a big meeting prior to the pre-production of this movie where she invited everybody who was involved in it in some way, apart from original Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman. And they openly discuss in one of the emails that like, no, just don't tell Ivan that we're having this dinner. So they were planning it without him. Ivan was still attached, and it still is. He's an executive producer of the movie, but it's believed that might be marquee only.
Yeah,
like he's being left to his own devices. He's working on Sony's new division currently called Ghost Core, which is about making new Ghostbusters media. So be that games, be that a TV series, be that another movie. He's in charge of that currently. And I think that's what's appeased him. Like he's like, fine, look, I'll look after the legacy in my own way. You guys have your one-off film. I'm going to go do this. Which could be good, could be bad, doesn't matter. But Ivan Reitman did a very clever thing. Back at the time of Ghostbusters 2, in his contract, he stipulated that if they did a follow-up movie, he had final say on who directed it.
Yeah.
So this movie, the new film remake, though it be, comes under that contract. So he had final say.
Yeah.
Which is why Amy Pascal was annoyed, according to these emails, because she wanted Paul Feig. She wanted him. Because of the success of Spy, Bridesmaids. She was like, he's going to direct this movie.
Well, not Spy at that point.
Well, not Spy. No, but like that was in pre-pro.
Yeah,
I think that's because that's a Sony flick. That's how they got to like know each other.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, he's done lots of work for Sony.
But like, she was like, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the one to do it. I want him. And Ivan Reitman wanted to make another Ghostbusters himself.
I mean, that Ghostbusters 3 has been in development hell for years.
But as recently as 2 years ago, he was like, so we're going ahead with the film. Good, I would like to make it. Which, if you were, for example, Disney, or even Fox, and you know the now being a little more like open to Bryan Singer and everything with his stuff with the X-Men universe, which hasn't worked out really long term. But like at least with Days of Future Past, like you remember the hope that we all had at the moment they were like Bryan Singer's doing Days of Future Past. We were
had no
oh my god
whatsoever.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd seen everything Bryan Singer had done
right,
since X-Men 2,
right,
and it was
all right,
all bad.
All right,
actually, anything Bryan Singer's done since The Usual Suspects, because I don't even like the original X-Men and X-Men 2 in retrospect that much anymore. I know. I watched X-Men on Netflix about 2 weeks ago, and it was awful.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
That's a Joss Whedon line.
Oh, man.
Joss Whedon's owned up to that line, Joss.
In an earlier draft, someone else took it over and decided to leave it in.
Joss.
He's not listening. He's not on the internet. God. He's a wise man. He doesn't hang out on the internet. He's a clever man. So, yeah. Wait. Oh, shit. That's it. Right. So, like, if this were Disney, for example, or you know, another studio, they would probably be a little more open, have a little more faith, and they would go, okay, we're going to make a Ghostbusters movie. It's going to be a sequel of some sort, and we're going to get Ivan Reitman in, and Dan Aykroyd's going to oversee it, because then the faith of the public will immediately be there. The people who love those original movies will already be buying a ticket, theoretically, because they know these guys are looking after it all. So to kick him off seemed like a really odd choice. And Ivan Reitman's involvement in the new film has been very minimal. He's an executive producer in the sense that Stan Lee's an executive producer. Yeah. Like, he might have some say, he might have some input on how it works, but ultimately, because he's one of the people in charge of where it came from, it's more a courtesy.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But in this Paul Feig interview, Paul Feig, Faggity Feig.
Let's just make it up, it doesn't matter.
Paul Feig, in the Paul Feig interview, he comes across as somebody who wants to make a good movie, and he doesn't want to upset people.
Yeah, I get all that.
And he says that the article that came out about a month ago now, he said, like, I've met geek assholes in the geek community. It's home to some of the biggest assholes on the planet.
Plenty of them.
Like, was a misquote from an interview done 18 months prior, which may be true, but he even says in the thing, I wish I hadn't said that, because I know now that's not true. Like, the real geek community aren't the ones who are being horrible and disgusting about all this.
I don't know, I'd say
which again probably... is, yeah, well, exactly. Again, it's sort of like that's him going like, if you're a real geek, you're a good guy, and it's hang on, you're sort of person rallying here.
It just kind of furthers the tribalism that's the problem with that kind of thing.
With all this stuff, people feel like they have ownership, and that's a problem because you don't have ownership. But the fact you care, the passion is good. Mm-hmm. The fact that you think you have a say is kind of misleading. Yeah. I think it's better when studios, directors, producers and whatnot are open to suggestion. Yep. Because they want to know that they're doing something that everybody's all on board for. The Marvel movies, again, great example. We'll always bring them up, not because they're a popular thing to talk about, but because they do it right. In that sense, it's not the right method for everyone, but what's happened there is they've gone, we're going to make movies that are pretty much the same as what's on paper. So the people who like what's on the page will come and see the movie. Mm-hmm. And we know that it'll be enjoyable for people who haven't seen the movie because it works so well in this other medium. Let's try it. And you know, there's rules of adaptation, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So it seems that Paul Feig, like, wants to do the right thing, knows when he's said something wrong or negative, and apologises for it in hindsight. But it still doesn't stop him opening his mouth at the time.
Yeah, but you can only...
Which is bad for the movies represent. Like, if you'd done it after the film came out,
you can only ever apologise for something that you've already done in hindsight. You
No, of
can't go
course.
back and not do it.
No, of course, but there's a bit in the article where he talks about, like, he just finished making Ghostbusters. He and his wife went on a holiday,
Yeah.
so we could relax. And he checks Twitter, which I think is a rule you should never do on holiday. He checks Twitter, and some people have been slagging off, like, the work, and they've tagged him in everything. These 3 individuals.
Yeah.
So he responds, and for about a day he felt great about it. And then a couple of days later, he's like, I really shouldn't have done that, because it just stressed him out even more. And it's like, well, that's fine. You've said that now, but throughout production, he did this. And in the interview, he mentions a couple of times where he engaged people in confrontation online and then regretted it. And it's like, well, why did you keep doing it then? Why did you keep doing it? You're under scrutiny. You're putting yourself in a public spotlight. Either keep stum and let everybody show themselves up, or just put out a statement of good intent and leave it at that.
Yeah.
It seems a bit of a shame. It's sort of this weird in-betweeny place. But also, though, I think the one thing that I did come away from the interview being a bit upset about is how he said the only way he could tell this story is if he told an origin. And that's why he's rebooting the franchise. And it's like, well, then maybe you weren't the right person for the franchise.
It just seems a bit short-sighted. It's like, the only way I can tell this story is by tearing it down and starting from scratch.
So, I mean, he said one draft of the script that he was handed early on was a draft where the old team were sort of gone because they'd been driven out of business.
Yeah.
And it was about a new group getting hold of the stuff and eventually getting in touch with the old team and the teaching, so the other. But he made a good point. He said, why would we do that? Why? Because then if you watch those 3 movies in a row, the second movie begins with them, disgraced because for the last few years they've been blamed for massive accidents and, like all the costs to the city and this, that and the other. And then they get back on top. And then you start the third film and they're disgraced and thinking, it's like, yeah, agree there. I agree.
The same thing happens between the real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's a really obvious... In fact, I think that was a Dan Aykroyd holdover. That was a story he'd always wanted to tell.
He just keeps telling the same one over and over again.
Well, Blues Brothers 2000's the same thing. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's all gone. Well, let's get the band back together.
It's the only story that Dan Aykroyd can tell.
Dan Aykroyd.
It's even an Evolution.
Which is Ghostbusters 3.
He has some of a hand in, I think. I know he's in it. I don't know if he wrote how much of it he
wrote.
No,
it's Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, I believe, that one.
Oh, what?
Because it's basically Ghostbusters 3. I want to do something about that. I want to do something about that down the line, like accidental sequels. Evolution is Ghostbusters 3. Small Soldiers is Gremlins 3. Like, there's a few films that are like that.
Oh no, he didn't write it.
No?
Dan Jacoby and David Diamond and David Weissman.
Ivan Reitman directed that, right?
Ivan Reitman directed, and Dan Aykroyd is in it.
To win it.
He's in it.
Like a win it. That's disgusting.
But, I'm wondering how intertwined... Oh, people do not like that movie. Oof.
Oh, no. Honest, it's not amazing, but it's a lot of fun.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see how far into production, or if at all, Evolution was linked to Ghostbusters. Because it does feel very similar.
It's alien mutants and alien genes getting captured and destroyed by a group of scientists.
And disgraced scientists.
Who were all sort of like everymen. Like, they're all just like people you could meet, and they're all cartoon characters. I don't know, man. So basically, like, Ghostbusters 3, when he came to it, was a story he wasn't interested in. And that's fine.
Get someone who is interested in it to direct the damn thing, then.
Or somebody who's like, yeah, this could work.
Yeah.
But let's try this angle from the top. Because you could still have a story. He said the reason he wanted to do it is because he wanted to put these 4 hilarious women, this is like his wording, 4 hilarious women, in a situation where they're having to build this stuff from scratch. And they're having to make these crazy gadgets and test them out. And it's like, okay, does it have to be Ghostbusters? Or can't it be they're the new team being trained in it? Or one of them comes along and is like, look, this could be done so much better, and starts to invent it. And then you could still have that aspect to the story.
Yeah.
I always bring his version up, but what I've read of it was great. Max Landis did a treatment for Ghostbusters 3 a few years ago, and it's online to read. If you search it, it's there. And it's great. And it is a whole thing of just like the current team in that place. And they're still, well, I think 2 of them are still kind of like relatively new to it, so they're getting the ropes.
Yeah.
But there's an acknowledgement that the original movies existed. This is the Ghostbusters, pest control franchise several years on. and like there are branches elsewhere. And I think if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but like Egon like would have been in it and stuff. Like he was setting up the other teams and stuff, so he like checks in at one point and things like that. Obviously, you couldn't do that now because of Harold Ramis passing away, but like you could still do that with say like,
which makes me not want a Ghostbusters 3 now. Like if I can't have Harold Ramis, I don't want a Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it depends on how you do it. I would have been happy if it was a new team and everything, and the only one you had of the original guard in the movie was say like Ernie Hudson. Like Winston is now the guy who manages the New York branch. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's the representative of the franchise. Like I'd quite like that because he'd stay in New York. Like he wouldn't. He's not the scientific exploration guy. He's like, look, I'll take care of this. Like I'll look after this lot.
But at the same point,
I kind of like that idea, but you would still be like, it sucks knowing that those are the three characters are in America somewhere, and we're not going to see them.
It's been so long, and we're not going to get Bill Murray back. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
Well, he's done this movie.
He's not going to do it.
He's filmed a cameo for Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
he's in the movie.
A cameo and actually being in the movie properly.
But he was up for being in a Ghostbusters 3 if Venkman was dead.
See, that's what I mean. It's just
so like but you know, I think it's because he was like, if we do the same, we do the same, and it's just going to be exactly the same.
It's just Bill Murray.
Give me something new to do.
Bill Murray is the Tom Baker of the Ghostbusters. He's like,
I
want a talking cabbage on my shoulders. Like, come on, just do the movie, man. Just don't be so weird about it.
We had a talking cabbage.
Everyone wants to do this movie. Everyone wants to do this movie except you because you can't be a ghost in it. Like, just
we had a talking cabbage. It was called Onion Head, and then everybody renamed it Slimer because merchandise-wise, it made more money.
And now we're not going to get a Ghostbusters 3 because Harold Ramis is dead.
We had a Ghostbusters 3.
Bill Murray wouldn't just swallow his pride and be in the damn movie, and now Harold Ramis is dead, and we're not going to get a Ghostbusters 3, or at least not the one that we should.
Ghostbusters 3 exists. It's the 2009 video game. It's a lot of fun. All the original cast are in it. It's co-written with Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and it's fun. God damn it.
Yeah, I need to play that. I need to track it down and play it.
It is a great game. In fact, you can watch all the cuts. Someone's edited like all the cutscenes together into like a 2-hour, 14-minute movie on YouTube. It's worth watching.
I don't want to play it though. I do want to play it.
Playing's great. It's a bit the first person thing is really bizarre because it's not just point and shoot.
Yeah,
it's point, keep pointing as a thing moves around to try and hold it, and then wrangle it into a trap. It's really like difficult, but it's a lot of fun.
I also want to get the Wii version because that's styled after the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but also it's very
Cartoon
different play-wise.
Yeah.
I'd recommend playing the PS3 version and then play
the
thing you want.
But I think there's pleasures to be had in both, I imagine.
And the story's the same, pretty much. It's just a case, obviously, it's a little scarier in the PS3 version, all creepy, and then the Wii one's a bit more like, hey, we're having fun!
But anyway,
if you want Ghostbusters 3, it exists, but not the one we kind of wanted. Paul Feig has gone in to make a movie based on movies that he loves, but decided to dismantle everything and start afresh. And there is one point which does interest me. I'll present this to you, Share, because you gave the interview a quick read before we started.
I did.
Did you get to the part where he basically says this franchise had been sat on a shelf for so long, the only thing I could think that would make this work was to start again?
Yeah, I saw that and I completely disagree.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
See, with me, I can see why he thinks that, but yeah, no, go on, hit me, hit me.
Why can't you continue it? I mean, you can't continue it now because Harold Ramis is dead. But what is it really the only way you can think to tell a story is to just start again? You can't pick up from something that happened. I mean, surely the joy in telling that story then, if you're telling another story about the original team, is in how they've grown and changed, like you say with the Max Landis treatment, in the space between. But if the only way you can think to tell a story is just go, nah, that's all dull, I'm going to do my own stuff, then just tell a different story.
Yeah.
Don't co-opt someone else's
work.
Don't
make Masters of the Universe 2.
Yeah,
make Cyborg. Wait, no, scratch that. The best way to have done it would have been to go the route of The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Essentially, soft remake the original, but have enough new elements for it to be like a different, have a different umbrella effect at the end of it. And like with that, we catch up with old characters. Like they're in there, they're in the story. The story's not about them, but they're in it. I mean, hell, not a great example of a movie, but Independence Day Resurgence. Like even that, it's like it's relatively the same film, it's new characters, but we have enough of the old stuff in there for us to go, oh, that's what they've been up to. That's what happened with him. Oh, he got killed off because we couldn't afford him. All right, okay.
Cool.
Etc., etc. Like, again, not a great example. Force Awakens, much better example.
Yeah.
But, you could have done it like that. I mean, it's sad that we wouldn't have Egon, but that's why I'd accept a movie where you just had, like, one of them in there.
Yeah.
I'd accept that because I'd be like, and again, I'm going to pick him because have Ernie Hudson in it. Winston's my favourite Ghostbuster. I'm in that really small camp where Winston is my favourite.
Look, if there's a steady paycheck in it, he'll believe anything you say, so...
It's just the fact that I love him. He just rocks up, like, sort of just after the second act's kind of kicked off.
Yeah.
And just joins in. And there he is.
Yeah.
He's the guy who saw a wanted ad in the paper.
He's great. I love
him. He's such a great element to it. I love the fact that he's there because I'm already in love with the other three characters by this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh right, you're gonna add another cast member. Oh, I don't see how that's gonna. Oh, it's literally just a dude who's there to collect a paycheck.
Yeah,
great. But it's some guys he's barely known for like a week, and yet he goes up to the top of that thing. To the top of the hotel, crosses the streams, and risks his life. He could die.
I think the implication is they've been together as a team for a lot longer than a week at that point.
I don't know. The events between his interview and Peck shutting down the containment, it's only about a week or so. The second half of the film takes place over about a week, 2 weeks.
Doesn't...
Yeah, Dana's apartment and everything, all that stuff happens earlier on. Like the exploration of her apartment and Peter checking it out. That's when it's still the three of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Cedric Hotel does it. Then there's all that stuff, and then Winston applies. He's only there for a bit.
I feel like there's more of
because that's why I kind of like it. It's like he's a solid enough dude that when it comes to the end, he risks his life alongside the other three because he knows it's the right thing to do.
I just got the sense that movie took place over like the whole montage sections of it took place over a longer period of time.
But the montage happens before Winston joins.
Of course.
Ghostbusters are running for a while.
Okay, yeah.
But Winston joins later on when they realise they're going to need an extra pair of hands.
Okay.
And the only sort of character moment you really get is him and Ray in
which is
X-01.
amazing. It's amazing.
That brief chat about like faith and the Bible and apocalypse, end of days. Like that the way that scene's played feels to me like two dudes who don't really know each other sort of just striking a conversation.
Yeah.
So he barely knows these, and again, like he's like I've only been with these guys for a little while, Your Honor, but like in that time I have seen shit that would turn you white. Like, do you know what I mean? He's completely in on it. He's like, I believe in what they're doing.
Well, you can't not at that point, can you?
Oh, he's so cool.
You can't
I
do the
love
job and then
Winston.
not.
Winston's my favourite Ghostbuster. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. And the thing is, I love him equally to Ray and Peter and Egon. Like, I love them all the same, but Winston's just my fave. It's just that extra element, the fact that he just stumbles into it all. Love that.
But
yeah, sorry.
But we're not getting more Winston.
No. Sucks. Although we are getting confirmed cameos in the thing here. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts, and who does Ernie Hudson? I said Ernie Hudson, didn't I? Yeah. So like basically the three Ghostbusters, Dana and Janine are all cameoing. Rick Moranis was approached,
but he's retired and not.
In an interview that was released during the making of this movie, he said that he was approached. It doesn't interest him, so he turned it down. And he's not retired. He looks at projects from time to time because he produces stuff now. I think he produces music. I think actually.
Yeah.
He looks at stuff from time to time, but he says no script has hit him in the last like 15, 20 years has made him go, oh, go on, that'd be awesome. I'll take part in that. Which says to me that he's just sort of become a little picky because he's like, look, if I'm going to go back into it, I want it to be in something good. And you can't really blame him for that. Like when you, because he originally retired for quite a tragic reason. I believe his wife passed away,
I think it was.
and he retired to be full time dad basically and take care of the family. And then he got into producing, and he just hasn't got back into acting. I mean, you can't blame him for me. Like, I've been out of the game so long. If I picked a shit movie, what a crap way to return. I'd rather come back to something brilliant. I'd love to see. And that sounds weird. This is so voyeuristic and creepy. I'd love to see a picture of him, how he looks now. I'm curious. Because he's always had such a cartoony little baby face that we've not seen for about 20 years. It'd be interesting to see what he looks like now.
Do that after the podcast and make it the thumbnail image.
I don't think there are any photos of him now, though.
We'll find one.
Oh, God.
We'll find one.
It'd be so out of context.
Anyway.
Here's a picture of Rick Moranis'
We've
face.
talked about this Paul Feig interview for way too long.
Yeah. Longer than he actually talks.
Longer than he actually talks in the interview. We're also talking about the interviews longer than the actual interview.
Yeah.
Go over and read it, see what you think. It's going to be interesting, but we'll see what happens with Ghostbusters is out real soon, so we'll see what happens with it.
It's out in a week, man.
Yeah, so
in a week.
We'll
Next
talk about
Monday.
it. We'll talk about it.
Which means I've got to go and see. Yeah, Monday. That's another one. That's another one of the signs that the studio doesn't even have faith in the final product. They're releasing it on Monday, so that it makes as much money as humanly possible by Sunday.
Well, we'll judge for ourselves next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go see it on the first day because I'm
see
working that weekend. So I'm gonna have to see it on the first day, review it as soon as possible, and get it out there.
Well, if I can see it.
Also, there's a review embargo till Monday.
If I can see it before we record the next podcast, then we should talk about it then.
Oh yeah,
I should be able to.
I'll make you. I'll make you.
Okay. Well, let me know.
Or I'll just retell you the story with shadow puppets.
Let me know when you're going to see it, because there's no point in talking about it on the podcast unless we've both seen it.
Dirty bastard.
But anyway. Now, Chris.
He just wants to stick his hand in my popcorn tub.
Now, Chris, I set you some homework last week.
Oh, for Christ's sake, look, I'm not doing the tectonic plate coursework.
Did you do your homework?
Did I do it?
Ha! Did you do it?
I don't know, I'm laughing. Yeah, I did. I watched Preacher. We're 6 episodes in at this point, and I've watched all 6.
Deep.
I'd started yesterday with the intention of watching like 2, and I watched all 6.
What do you think?
So again, just to bring people up to speed, I've never read Preacher.
I have.
Matt has read Preacher. Matt has also already watched Preacher.
Yeah.
I yesterday binged 6 episodes of Preacher.
I've been watching it on transmission, so mine has been a bit spaced out.
I'm enjoying it, which is odd because I know it's not brilliant. It's got moments of brilliance.
It has brilliant elements,
and Dominic Cooper's great.
Dominic Cooper's great. I don't think he's playing Jesse Custer, or at least not the Jesse Custer I'm familiar with.
This is why this is such a unique perspective, because you know the source material.
I know the source material, and I know that Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon both are heavily involved.
Well, it's a Walking Dead kind of scenario in that, like with that series, Robert Kirkman is the writer of Walking Dead is working on the show, and he's written some of it, and he's helped plot out the story arcs. So with the TV show, he's sort of going, yeah, I'm going to tell the stories differently. I'm going to do different things and bring in other characters and kill off other characters sooner.
Well, I don't know how heavily
let the characters live for longer. But the difference with that one is that one feels like it's being stretched. Whereas for me, but that's because I've read Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Whereas with Preacher, I've not read it, and so far it feels like they're taking their time a bit.
Preacher, to me, feels like it's being stretched to its breaking point on the show at the moment. I don't know how heavily Steve Dillon and Garth Ennis particularly, because he was the writer, Steve Dillon was the artist. He was the visual storyteller.
In quotation marks.
Yeah. Don't be nice.
He's a good artist from the neck down.
There's a lot of the neck down stuff in Preacher, to be fair.
Giggity.
I don't know how heavily they are involved in the actual plotting of it, or whether they're just consulting, but I know they are very much on board. But they've just, like, adaptations make changes.
Yeah.
That's just how they work. And even from one serial medium like comic books into another serial medium like television, changes are made. Well, they've just changed so much.
Well, here's a way to decipher it. Picture in your head, Matthew.
Yeah.
Sweet, gentle Matthew.
Sweet.
Picture in your head a back cover to say Preacher Volume 1.
Yeah.
Right? Give me the short paragraph summary, the blurb of sort of what you would describe, like what would be written on the back of the trade paperback of issue 1 of part 1.
The problem with giving a synopsis for the comics as opposed to the show is the stuff you find out in the comics, like end of issue 1, end of issue 2, really early on, that they still haven't gone into on the show. And I don't know whether that would constitute a spoiler.
Oh, no. I mean, like the back of the book kind of summary.
Yeah, no.
Like where it doesn't give too much away.
I mean the back of the book summary.
Okay, well, like...
There's stuff that would be in the back of the book summary for the first Preacher trade that would probably constitute a spoiler on the show.
Well, give us the pre-blurb where they just explain the basic premise of the book.
Oh, shit, really? They are so far behind some of the stuff that happens in the comic that I cannot do that yet.
Oh, do you know what? I think I'm going to take his safety gloves off. I think we should do it. Sod it. Spoilers for Preacher, the graphic novel.
Not for the graphic novel.
Potential spoilers.
Potential spoilers for Preacher the show, because it's so far behind the graphic novel.
Okay, I'm willing to take this job.
Right.
Let's do it. Give me the back of Volume 1-esque summary.
Jesse Custer is a preacher, a failing preacher in a small southern town, and he's possessed by an entity which is the forbidden offspring of an angel and a demon, which gives him the power of the voice of God. He can compel anyone into doing anything he wants. In his exact words. Which is something that comes back to bang later. But anyway. Now, he has to go on the run from people who are trying to get the entity back. With the help of his ex-girlfriend, Tulip, and his new friend, 100-year-old Irish vampire, Cassidy. He finds out from the forces that are pursuing him, which include angels and the Saint of Killers, an unstoppable, immortal, murdering machine, who is the soul of a cowboy, that God is no longer in heaven, and so sets out on a journey across America and beyond to find God and bring him to task for deserting his creations. That is the plot of Preacher.
Cool.
So it gets set up straight away, and they've still not got to that point.
So sort of like The Punisher meets the Bible.
Well, it's not as violent. Like Jesse is a violent man, but he's not cruel. He's a human. He's got faults, and so is Tulip. Tulip in the show is significantly more sadistic, cruel, vindictive, violent, short-tempered,
whiny,
just unpleasant. Than she's not an unpleasant person in the book. She does unpleasant things, but she's got a nasty streak in the show which just isn't there in the book. And Jesse as well. What they've done in the show is Jesse has Genesis, and they've kept him around in town. They brought other characters from later on and other places into the town as well to build the community. It lets them have regular sets. It lets them have a regular cast, because a big component of the book is travel. They're always on the road. Between arcs anyway. They'll spend a couple of issues in one place and then move on. And it just... But in the book, when Jesse gets Genesis, it destroys the church he's in and kills his congregation. He's the only survivor. Doesn't happen in the show. So he's building his congregation, and he's found his faith again. Through that. And so he's staying in this one place, and it's just not a story that I'm finding very compelling. Because... And also, in the show... They've made Jesse's father a priest, the preacher in the church that he now preaches in. Not the case in the book. In the book, his father's a soldier, returns from Vietnam, marries a woman who's part of another family, and then he's killed by that family because they think that he's beneath her, and Jesse's sort of moulded into the kind of person he is before he becomes a preacher by that family. Sort of like a southern sort of crime family, with a very strong matriarch, and there's hints of that in the show because I think his tattoo that you see in season 6 is a hint towards that background.
Season 6, Jesus, episode 6.
In episode 6.
Oh my god, season 6
is a hint towards that background. And then you do see flashbacks of his father getting killed, so I'm assuming that is going to happen in a similar way. But by making Jesse much more of a confirmed true believing Christian, that you're then removing some of the sort of cynicism from the character, and he's not cynical in a cruel way. He's cynical in a realistic way, and
he doesn't seem in the show like he's kidding himself when he says like, if God wants this thing back, then God can come and take it. He's not sort of going like, so if he wants it, he can come and get it. He's going like, if God wants it, he can like he definitely is a man of faith.
Yeah, and he is a man of faith.
And he appreciates that it isn't all, like, plain and simple. There's more to it. But at the same time, like, he still believes that God will light the way and everything.
He's a man of faith in the book. He's just not a man of blind faith. He's a man of... He's a man of morals. And in the book, he has...
Scruples.
He has his sort of spirit guide takes the form of John Wayne.
Okay.
So there's sequences of him talking to a spirit, which might be the spirit of John Wayne, and might be just his conscience. and he has a relationship with this John Wayne spirit that he's had since he was a kid, and John Wayne talks him out of the TV. And it's not...
Which they can't really do, I guess, in the show. Not unless they invented like a fake John Wayne-esque character to make that work.
It's a way of morally centering him that's detached from his religion that don't make them so heavily intertwined. So I worry that, which I believe they will do on the show, is that when they get to the point where he no longer has his religion, then he'll lose his moral centre.
Yeah, unless they make one of the external characters his moral centre.
Yeah, but then Tulips, they've
they've made her an arsehole.
They've taken her moral centre, thrown it out the window, and then you've got Cassidy, who's the hedonist. So they've done a bit of it with Eugene, or Arseface, as he
as the American press.
Oh, they call him Arseface in the book.
Oh no, but the American press for this show was referred to him as Assface.
Yeah, well, he gets his name from Cassidy in the book, who is Irish. Right. So
to be fair, the only reference to his face looking like a puckered anus has come from Cassidy in episode 2, as he sort of like goes like, Jesus,
that boy's got a face like an arse.
Yeah,
which is exactly how he gets his name in the books. Jesus.
We'll tell you what. Before we go too far ahead, I'll give the back of the Blu-ray box set summary of Preacher.
Do it.
What's his name? Jesse
Custer.
So Jesse Custer is a preacher, recently returned to the town he grew up in, to his dad's church.
Yeah.
To take the role, having spent the last few years doing some pretty unseemly criminal endeavours with Tulip. A bunch of priests and religious and holy men and women of different faiths have been possessed and then killed almost immediately by an entity, which eventually arrives at Jesse and just inhabits him and doesn't kill him. Meanwhile, an Irish vampire called Cassidy seeks refuge in that town because a bunch of vampire hunters are after him. They keep finding him. And two blokes who are angels who are in charge of keeping track of this entity that is known as Genesis come to the town to try and take it out of Jesse. At first without him knowing, and possibly with a chainsaw, and second time with his cooperation. And Jesse realises the entity gives him a god. He refers to it as the voice of God, and then is told, no, that's not what it is. But he can tell people what to do.
No,
he can command people to do things.
Told, it is. He doesn't say told that it's not the voice of God. He gets told that it's not God.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He thinks it's God working through him.
Yeah, and he thinks that he's possessed by God. It's not God.
But that's the basic. That's not going into plot specifics or spoilers for the individual episodes. For example,
as basic as you can get.
Which we'll do down the line. I think when season 1 ends, we'll talk about the full season.
That's as basic as you can get without just saying, "Yo, it's about a preacher who has a power." Which is so vague.
Yeah.
And gives you no sense of the flavour of the thing.
Which is kind of like the show, really.
Yeah.
It has a basic flavour. And like I said, there are actors having fun.
Yeah.
There are set pieces that are freaking brilliant.
Joseph Gilgun is perfect. Oh my days. Cassidy. Joseph Gilgun is amazing as Cassidy. He's one of the most perfect pieces of casting I've ever seen.
There are some bizarre, and I've got a feeling this might be Seth Rogen's input, but obviously I could be wrong, but there are several modern pop culture references put in the first couple of episodes specifically, almost like they're going, we're relevant, right?
Well, I think that's just
they've obviously the original books from the early 90s,
mid 90s.
Yeah. This series is very much set in 2016 because there's touchpad technology, flat screen TVs, mentions of Justin Bieber and things like that. It's like
but it's also set in a deep south, which is very backward in its sensibilities.
Yeah. In fact, the only iPad that the entire town has gets broken. So it's an odd one. That you do feel like they're focusing on ensemble, instead of like, from what I can tell from your summary, the book, your cast is the 3 leads. Like they're the ones you take the journey with. There's a lot of
supporting characters. They haven't really introduced the main antagonists for the series yet.
But this sort of goes with the very sort of serialized TV thing of, right, you've got your main person, you've got their best friend, and you've got the 10 to 20 other people in the community
it's just
who we're going to regularly visit.
It's moving so slowly, and I really hope they get away from the town in the second season, which has been confirmed now, by the way. They've been renewed for a
season
second
2
season.
is not only greenlit, but it's going to be twice the length as well.
Oh, God.
But if they're doing road trip, fair enough, because they could do like a story arc in each location for every 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Which could work, and that would keep it fresh. But I think part of the reason why they set it in communities as well, like in one place, is because they want people who tune in, like for episode 7 or like to episode 4, for them to sort of go, oh yeah, this is kind of like that one I saw a few weeks ago.
They don't need to make shows like that anymore because people don't watch TV shows like that anymore.
No. Well, there you go. Like you watched it week by week. I watched it in one go.
I think we
got the same experience.
But I know that if I'd have missed 1 week, I could just go and catch up because it's on over here. It's on Amazon Prime. It's the new episodes get released on Amazon Prime every Monday.
In the States, it's on AMC, but I think they also have it on Amazon as well. In the States,
if you don't watch it on transmission and it's not on streaming, you just go buy it from iTunes or catch it on Hulu or whatever catch-up service the network has. Like we don't live in a world anymore where we consume our media when it comes out.
No.
Which
is why it's always annoying when people focus so much on ratings nowadays, because it's like the ratings, it's a different world.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want people to tune in on the night of broadcast, but not because you want the numbers. It's because you want them so invested in it that they want to see it the moment it's available, and that's why people would tune in on broadcast nowadays. I think Preacher has been made with a Netflixy mentality, to be fair. Maybe. I think they're making it as a binge show, but it's being spread out.
See, I don't think they are making it as a binge show, because if I watch that on a binge, I just get bored. Because 6 episodes in and nothing's...
Well, yeah,
really happened.
I watched it whilst editing videos and doing like bits of work online. So I had like my laptop to one side and my monitor to the other. And I would stop quite often to just watch the show for like 10, 15-minute stretches and then go, oh shit, I need to finish this. And then keep working. So I think it's got enough, while it's called water cooler moments, it's got enough moments that people will talk about the next day in it. Usually one big one in each episode.
It's just not...
But it's come from... And this is the problem I had with... Get ready to stone me, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem I had with Breaking Bad. Sometimes it felt like you could take 4 episodes out of the middle of a season and it wouldn't change a damn thing.
The difference between Breaking Bad
and Daredevil, even. I love Daredevil, but you could knock 2 or 3 episodes out of both of the seasons.
I think that's just standard bloke from serialised storytelling.
Torchwood Miracle Day is a great example. Russell T Davies wrote 5 episodes for that, and the Starz Network went, no, we want a minimum of 10. So he had to write 5 more. And that series, everyone's biggest complaint for it was a bit long.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been done in a shorter story.
I think
like Children of Earth, which was just 5 episodes and worked perfectly.
It's just being stretched out so much that it feels like it's not going anywhere.
Well, the pilot, next to nothing happens in the pilot.
Yeah, well...
You meet Cassidy and he gets a really cool introductory scene.
The pilot introduces its core concept and it introduces all its characters.
She gets... Yeah, but normally... Pilots, was it one of those where they made the pilot and then it got greenlit, or did they start work on the pilot and then it was greenlit?
I think it was pilot ordered and then pilot was green, and then greenlit to series.
Because the reason I say that is because pilot episodes nowadays get broadcast. That didn't used to be the way.
No, not at all.
Pilot would be made. It would be maybe shown as part of like a season of pilots.
It wouldn't be shown on TV. It'd be shown to the network.
Oh, it did happen sometimes. More in the States than over here, where they would sometimes show 2 or 3 pilots on a network over a weekend. The idea being, it's like, oh, new stuff. Like, what do you like? Tell us what you like. See what rates. And then when it gets made, I think the last example of that in the UK was they used to do it on BBC Three. BBC Three used to show pilots.
Yeah. And
then, like, a year later, the one that got picked up would show... Mighty Boosh, for example. Tundra was done as a pilot. And then they remade it as part of Series 1. And that's the thing. Pilot episodes, like you say, are there to introduce the premise, the characters, and give a flavour of what the show could be to an exec. Pilots nowadays, whenever you watch a TV series and the first episode is named Pilot... It's usually because the episode was made for that function, but then they just make that episode 1. And I think that's a big mistake, because Preacher episode 1 had one amazing sequence on an airplane, a really, really sort of like, whoa, introductory 2-minute opening sequence that made you go, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
And it introduced enough of Jesse's like philosophy and his outlook on confrontation specifically to make you go, interesting character. I'd be intrigued to see what story they're going to tell with him. But ultimately, fuck all happens in that first episode.
But that's fine,
really.
because it sets the tone.
But I don't know if... I think that's just how it's become nowadays. I'd prefer episode 1 to feel like part 1.
Yeah, but it does.
Does it?
Yeah, because it introduces all the characters.
Episode 1 shouldn't feel like
Genesis.
the opening credit sequence of an 80s sitcom.
Where
it basically goes, these are the characters, and it's a dude who lives in a flat with 2 women, but his landlord thinks he's gay, and that's how he gets away with it.
Episode 1
It's got John Ritter.
That's not what episode 1 of this series does, because it's... I would argue it's probably the
Tom
best.
Cruise blows up in a church, and here is the preacher
Stop
man. Okay.
Episode 1 is sort of the best
Please
episode of the
confetti too.
Stop it. Episode 1 is, I would argue, is probably the best episode of that season because it does its job so well. It introduces all the characters, it sets up Genesis, it gets Genesis, sets up what Genesis can do, boom, that's episode 1.
Is Genesis power set up in episode 1?
Yeah, because he's got the whole...
I don't know if it is. I think it's in episode 2 when
Is
he
that
first
episode 2?
uses it, yeah.
Oh, well.
When he first uses it.
Okay.
In episode 1, he gets thingied, and then the fight in the bar happens, and that's the end of episode 1.
He gets Genesis by the end of episode 1.
Yeah, he gets it by the end of episode 1, but like I think he gets it at the end. I think that's how episode 1 ends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. But there's the whole rabbit thing. Basically, the jury's out on Preacher so far. We're not entirely sure how we feel. I'm coming at it clean, and I'm enjoying it, but it does feel like it doesn't have a point yet.
I want to like it more than I'm liking it. And I like the flavour of it, I like the tone of it, I like Cassidy. But I don't like Jesse, and I don't like Tulip. Then they're characters that don't have the redeeming qualities that their comic book counterparts do. And I don't understand why they've made those changes. I understand that changes are made in adaptation, as I said earlier, but they don't seem like practical changes. They just seem like change for the sake of change. And I don't understand why they've done it. Because it doesn't...
Are we back on Ghostbusters?
Yeah. We're back to Ghostbusters already. I don't understand why they've made the changes they've made, because it just doesn't seem to fit with making them protagonists. You've taken away a lot of this. I think making the changes they've made, and certainly the changes in Jesse's behaviour, like you get towards the end of episode 6, it removes the sympathetic elements from his character that make you like him as a protagonist. Not saying all protagonists have to be likeable, but
it'd be nice.
It helps
in this environment, in this TV environment where most protagonists are pieces of work.
That's set in such a shitty world where everyone is awful. For them, Jesse to be equally awful and do the things that he does without any redeeming qualities, and Tulip as well, it just doesn't. It's not working for me at the moment.
In conclusion, we like Cassidy.
Cassidy's brilliant.
We don't like Tulip.
No, we don't like
and
Tulip.
We're wondering what they're doing with Jesse. I'll say this: I think the ending of episode 6. I think episode 7 will be about him going, "Oh God, like this is." I thought I could deal with this stuff. This might be where he has a bit of a character turnaround.
Yeah, but it will more likely just be another 8-minute long pre-credit sequence of something happening in the Old West that we have no connection to yet because they're taking their time with that character way too much. Then another episode in Ansville where nothing happens. And Jesse continues to make poor decisions. Cassidy gets a couple of funny lines, and Tulip runs around being grumpy all episode. I think that's more likely what we're going to get.
What was the last TV show you watched? Let's say, finished one that's finished now. What's the last TV show you watched where you were like, obviously everything's got ups and downs, where you're like, yeah, that one, for the most part, that was pretty freaking perfect.
Daredevil Season 2.
Oh, okay.
And before that, Jessica Jones.
Well, I'd say something that's finished, like say a show that's been.
Oh right, across multiple seasons.
Yeah, it's like because obviously stuff that's started in the 2000s, most of that's finished.
Breaking Bad.
Because because
I think it helped that I was binging that though.
I'm going further back. I'm saying Buffy.
No,
13.
Buffy was too saggy in the last 2 seasons.
Oh, the last
Way
seasons.
too saggy.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like it's constant week by week, for it to get to season 6, season 7, before I started going, that was a bit of a weak one this week. Well, I don't think I ever had that feeling during the first 5 seasons ever. It's just so odd that in today's climate we have so many TV shows where season 1 has people going, yeah, I mean, it's all right.
I mean, that's why I'm still watching it.
It's like no one hits the ground running anymore.
It's because no one ever hits the ground running. You go back and watch the first season of a lot of shows; they're pretty patchy. The first season of Buffy is pretty patchy. The first season of X-Files is exceptionally patchy.
No, yeah, that's odd. See, with Buffy season 1 feels like it's in a time capsule. It feels like season 1 was appealing to a generation that doesn't exist anymore.
Kind of.
But the Monster of the Week part keeps it fun for newcomers. Yeah. Season 2 is when it suddenly goes, this is what works.
And this is why I'm sticking out to the end of the season of Preacher, at least, into season 2, because if season 2 doesn't grab me, then I'll quit it. But you've got to give a show a season now. And to be fair, I'd argue that you've always had to. And that's always been the case, as far as I can see. The first season of a show has never... It doesn't hit stride until it gets a second season, because you spend the first season working out what works and what doesn't work.
Unless it's Faulty Towers, in which case it works solidly for 2 seasons of 6 episodes each. And then it's done.
Well, that's the exception that you get, isn't it? Those are the ones that you get where you're like, oh, they know exactly what they're doing and they just do it, and then they're out. They didn't make any more. If they'd have made more, it would have been more patchy.
Could you imagine where Firefly would have been if it had gone to a second season?
Oh God, man, Firefly barely got enough time to be patchy. Barely got enough time to be patchy.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, if season 1's where they're getting a feel for it, imagine what season 2 would have been like. Considering season 1 is such a solid piece of work. God damn it! I want to watch Firefly again. Well, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, we'll come back to Preacher when season 1's finished. But at the moment,
is it 13 episodes?
I think so.
So we'll see you again in about 6 weeks' time. Oh, so we'll see you in about 5-6 weeks' time for a Preacher.
Well, we might check back on it. Check back in on it. We might have the weekly Preacher. But yeah, it's
like a Sunday sermon.
If something actually happens next episode, I'll be sure to talk about it next week. So
we'll see. Preacher time,
same Preacher channel.
Doesn't quite work, does it?
Same.
If you've got any thoughts about Paul Feig and Cyborg 2 and dirty old Preacher holes.
God, it's a dirty show, isn't it? It's a dirty show. Everything's greasy,
grimy, and everyone's unpleasant except for Cassidy, who is unpleasant, but in a way that we're kind of charmed by.
He's charmingly unpleasant.
Unless you like cows, in which case you'll hate him from episode 1.
Everyone else is just a dick.
If you've got anything you want to talk about down below, we will be chatting away in the comments as per usual. Also, don't forget, Big Damn Stream this Saturday, 9pm-ish on Official CDJ.
Which I won't be around for. Sadly.
No, not this week. But soon!
Should we do something this Sunday night as well?
I do have this Sunday night.
Should we do a Sunday stream?
I'll find out. Yeah. Keep an eye on Twitter. We'll find
out. I can do
it
Sunday night.
Because Sunday night's possible, but I know Saturday night we do have something in on Saturday night. We've got not Matt standing in.
Yeah, I will not be there.
We've got a not Matt standing. who isn't Matt, but by God, isn't Matt.
They're trying.
So we'll see you on Saturday, possibly Sunday, twitch.tv/officialdj. Remember, you can get in touch with us at any point. BigDamnContact@gmail.com, or leave a comment here on this video.
Leave it.
Free download for this episode's in the description if you want to hear it again. Which, I mean, why would you do that? Are you insane?
Once is enough.
I mean,
half is enough.
Half
an episode is enough.
Whole. And we'll see you next week, probably on YouTube for a Ghostbusters review, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. I'm not making any commitments.
But it made me feel good.
Oh, God.
Bye.